Welcome to the RAG Masterclass. Look, over this series of explainers, we are going to completely deconstruct the architecture of grounded large language models. If you're an AI engineer or a data scientist trying to get LLMs to actually work in enterprise production, you are in the exact right place. We're going to show you how to build systems that don't just talk well, but actually know what they're talking about. Because let's face it, out-of-the-box LLMs are absolutely incredible at language, right? But they are fundamentally flawed at facts. And in the real world, those flaws are incredibly expensive.
So just how expensive are we talking? Let's start with a really visceral example. Do you remember when Google first demonstrated its LLM tool, Bard, which later became Gemini? The model was asked a seemingly simple question about the James Webb Space Telescope. It responded with complete grammatical confidence. And it was dead wrong. That single confidently generated hallucination literally contributed to a $100 billion wipeout in Google's stock value. $100 billion, over a perfectly structured sentence that contained a catastrophic factual error. Why? Because the model was essentially just guessing. It was relying on statistical probabilities of word combinations rather than referencing a verified source of truth. And here's the thing, these failures don't just come from a lack of data. Sometimes they stem from a complete inability to understand the context of the data the model actually has.
Here's another high-stakes failure, and this one was highlighted by the MIT Technology Review. An AI was asked about U.S. presidents, and it stated, "The United States has had one Muslim president, Barack Hussein Obama." Now, where on earth did it get that? Believe it or not, it actually pulled that from the title of a published academic book. The book was titled, "Barack Hussein Obama, America's First Muslim President?" with a question mark. It was a rhetorical title. But the LLM stripped the rhetorical context entirely. It didn't understand the nuance at all. It just probabilistically stitched the words together to form a completely false statement. Factually correct source existence, but a completely compromised interpretation.
So let's unpack exactly why these failures happen. And let's not dumb it down. It really comes down to two massive bottlenecks: the knowledge cutoff problem and the private data problem. Modern LLMs are these massive neural networks that require immense computational resources to train. But once that training stops, they are basically frozen in time. If a brand new programming framework was released yesterday, the LLM has absolutely no idea it exists. And then there's the private data problem, which is basically the massive headache for any enterprise right now. By design, OpenAI or Meta, they don't have access to your organization's proprietary data lakehouses or your CRM records or your private financial earnings calls. So if you ask an out-of-the-box LLM, "Hey, how did our Q3 revenue change?" it literally cannot know. And since it doesn't have the data and it fundamentally can't say "I don't know," what does it do? It guesses. It hallucinates. Which brings us to the architectural fix. This was first introduced in a 2020 paper by researchers at Meta, and it's called Retrieval-Augmented Generation, or RAG. The easiest way to think about RAG is that it's a bridge. It connects the incredible reasoning and language capabilities of an LLM to a dynamic external memory, which is your organization's proprietary data. RAG essentially ensures that before the LLM generates a single token of its response, it first retrieves relevant, verified information and uses that data to synthesize what we call a grounded answer. It's basically the difference between asking a student to take a closed book exam versus giving them an open book exam with the exact right textbook in front of them. Let's break down exactly how this pipeline works, starting with how we actually get the data ready.
Okay, let's slow down for a second and look at the ingestion phase. This is step one. You can't just take 1,000 PDFs and dump them into an LLM. It doesn't work that way. First, you have to chunk the unstructured data. This just means breaking long, unwieldy documents down into smaller, logical pieces, like paragraphs or specific sections. Next, we convert those chunks into embeddings. If you're new to that term, it basically means mapping the text into high-dimensional dense vectors so the machine can actually capture its semantic meaning. Finally, we store these embeddings in a vector database. Unlike traditional keyword matching, where you're just looking for exact words, a vector database organizes data by semantic similarity in mathematical space.
So that's how we ingest the data. Now let's fast forward and look at the query phase at inference time. A user submits a query. Step 1, we take that user query and embed it using the exact same mathematical model we used during ingestion. Step 2, the system searches the vector database to retrieve the document chunks that are most semantically similar to whatever the user just asked. Step 3 is where the real magic happens. We augment the prompt. We combine the retrieved data with the user's original query, and we hand that entire package over to the LLM. And finally, step 4 is generation. Because the model weights those retrieved facts so heavily, the answer is grounded, drastically reducing the chances of hallucination.
I want to be really concrete here so you can visualize exactly what the LLM is reading. In the industry, this is called prompt stuffing. The LLM doesn't just see the user asking, "How did revenue change?" right? Behind the scenes, the augmented prompt literally looks like this. System context. You are a helpful assistant. Here's the relevant data. Q3 revenue was up 14% driven by enterprise sales. And then it says, user query. How did revenue change? Do you see what's happening? The LLM is essentially reading the answer in its system instructions before it generates a single word. It becomes a highly sophisticated reading comprehension task at that point, rather than just pulling facts out of thin air.
Now, wait a second. I know what you're thinking. If you're an engineer looking at this pipeline, you're probably asking the single most common question in AI architecture right now. Wait, why not just fine-tune the model instead? Why bolt on this whole separate database and retrieval pipeline if we can just train the LLM directly on our private data so it inherently knows the answers? It is a great question, but it's also a massive misconception. Fine-tuning and RAG are not competing solutions for the same problem. They do completely different things. Fine-tuning is a supervised learning method where you retrain a model on a focused set of labeled data. But crucially, you aren't doing that to teach it new facts.
Here is the decision framework, and this is straight from our IBM source material. You use fine-tuning for behavior modification. If you want the model to speak in legal jargon or maybe output in strict JSON formats, you fine-tune it, but its underlying knowledge remains static. You use RAG for knowledge injection. If you need the model to know what your CEO literally just said on a call this morning, you use RAG. Think about it. If you fine-tune a model on your data today, it's outdated by tomorrow. With RAG, updating your model's brain is as simple as dropping a new document into that vector database. Plus, RAG provides something crucial: citations. You can trace exactly which document chunk the model used to generate its answer, which you simply cannot do with a fine-tuned model's black box.
Let's rapid fire through some real enterprise use cases where RAG isn't just an option, it's really the only viable architecture. First, multimodal RAG. Companies like PwC are storing image embeddings of complex financial charts directly in the vector space so the LLM doesn't lose that crucial visual context. Second, on-device mobile CRM. We're talking entire RAG pipelines running locally on a phone, so absolutely zero customer data ever leaves the device. Third, there's Graph RAG for complex citation networks. And fourth, automated, reference-free evaluation using powerful frameworks like Ragus. I really want to zoom in on that third one for a second, Graph RAG, because this brilliantly illustrates just how advanced this architecture is getting. Look at these two approaches side by side. Standard RAG relies on standard document chunks. It finds a chunk of text that is semantically similar to your query. But what if your data is highly interconnected, like a huge network of academic papers or a really complex corporate hierarchy? Standard RAG kind of falls on its face there because it completely misses the relationships between the chunks. Graph RAG solves this by retrieving graph nodes, triplets, and subgraphs from a knowledge graph. So instead of just returning an isolated paragraph about a researcher, it returns the structured relationships: who they cited, what institutions they belong to, what subsequent movements they influenced. It maps the actual structure of the data, not just the raw text.
Here's the cliffhanger for today's explainer. Everything we just described, that's what we call a naive RAG implementation. And naive RAG is actually incredibly fragile. The very first major failure mode you are going to hit in production is called the lost in the middle dilemma. Remember prompt stuffing we talked about earlier? Well, if you retrieve 20 document chunks and stuff them all into the context window, the prompt gets excessively long. And research shows that LLMs pay heavy attention to the very beginning and the very end of their prompt, but they will actively ignore or lose the information buried right in the middle of a massive context window. You can retrieve the absolute perfect answer, put it right there in the prompt, and the model will still hallucinate because it literally glossed over it.
And then there is the absolute data quality nightmare known as RAG poisoning. Your retrieval system might pull perfectly factual documents, but what if those facts conflict? What if it pulls your company's Q1 HR policy and your Q3 HR policy at the exact same time? The vector database doesn't know which one is current. It just knows they are both semantically relevant to whatever the user asked. So the LLM gets conflicting context, it kind of panics, and it merges the outdated and updated information together, producing a completely misleading answer. Just like that, your beautifully grounded pipeline just became a massive liability.
So the million-dollar question is, how do you fix it? Well, over the next 11 explainers, we are doing deep architectural teardowns to solve every single failure mode of naive RAG. We are going to cover advanced chunking strategies, multimodal embeddings, the actual logic behind Graph RAG, on-device privacy setups, and how to use Ragus valuation metrics to keep your system honest. So I'm going to leave you with this to think about until our next explainer.
Take a hard look at the LLM architectures you are building, or maybe even buying, right now. Are they actually secure, properly grounded pipelines? Or are they just sophisticated guessers waiting to serve up a $100 billion hallucination? It's a pretty critical question. Thanks so much for joining us for this first deep dive. We will see you in the next explainer where we tackle advanced chunking. Let's get to work.